All right, so today I wanted to share my personal watch list for dealing with alpha-gal syndrome. We're not talking about the obvious stuff here. We're going to dive deep into the 10 hidden ingredients that can pop up where you least expect them. Think of these as my personal notes from the field, and I am here to walk you through every one of them. Okay, so if you've got alpha-gal, you already know the drill, right? You stay away from steak, you skip the bacon. But the real challenge, it's all the hidden stuff, the mammal ingredients that are lurking in everyday products. They can trigger a reaction just as easily. And that is exactly what we are going to tackle today. And I want to be super clear about this. This isn't some list I found in a textbook. I have alpha-gal myself. This comes from my own real-world experience of squinting at labels in grocery store aisles, and yeah, sometimes learning things the hard way. So I just wanted to share what I figured out with you. First up on my watch list is a really big one, gelatin. You see it everywhere, but do you really know what it is? Yeah, gelatin is pretty much everywhere. It's made from cow or pig collagen, which makes it a definite trigger for us. You've got to look out for it in things like marshmallows, gummy candies, and even some desserts. It's also a huge one when it comes to medications, but we'll come back to that in a bit. Let's move on to the next one, which can be a bit of a detective mission. Glycerin, or as it's sometimes called, glycerol. So here's the deal with glycerin. It's kind of like a chameleon. It can be totally safe if it's plant-based, or it can be a problem if it comes from animal fat. You'll find it in all sorts of things: toothpaste, cosmetics, processed foods. So if the label doesn't specifically say vegetable glycerin, you might have to do a little digging. All right, number 3 on my list. This is something you'll probably find in just about every medicine cabinet out there: magnesium stearate. This stuff is basically used to keep the ingredients in pills and supplements from sticking to the machines when they're being made. And just like glycerin, it can come from either plant or animal sources. Because it's so often in things we take to stay healthy, it's a really important one to know about and to ask questions about. And now for maybe the most frustrating ingredient you will ever see on a label: natural flavors. This term is a classic black box. Natural can mean anything from a fruit extract to, yep, you guessed it, a flavor derived from beef. The lack of transparency is the real killer here. Whenever you see this on a label, especially for something savory, it should be a huge red flag to be cautious. Okay, number 5. This one's a little more old school, but trust me, it's still out there. Let's talk about lard. This one's pretty simple. Lard is just rendered pork fat. While it's not as common as it used to be, some places still use it to make pie crusts extra flaky or for frying certain foods. Think traditional refried beans or maybe some baked goods. It's always worth asking about, especially when you're eating out. And right next to lard, we've got its cousin from the beef world, tallow. So tallow is just rendered beef fat. It has a really high smoke point, so some restaurants love to use it for deep frying. It makes incredible French fries, which unfortunately for us is a real bummer. Tallow is also a perfect example of how alpha-gal goes beyond just food. You can find it in some soaps and skincare products too. Number 7 is lanolin. This is a waxy kind of substance that comes from sheep's wool, which is exactly why it's concerned for us. It's a super common moisturizer, so you really have to be careful checking the labels on your lotions, creams, and especially lip balms. Now for number 8. This one's a little bit of a special case: carmine. So let me be perfectly clear. Carmine is not a mammal product. It's actually a red dye that's made from crushed up insects. But in the alpha-gal community, you'll find that some people just feel it's better to be safe than sorry and avoid it. It's kind of an interesting one that's up to your personal choice. Number 9 isn't a single ingredient, but a whole category that can be a real issue for some of us: dairy. Since the alpha-gal sugar molecule is in all mammals, it can also be found in their milk. Now, for some people with alpha-gal, dairy is totally fine, but for others, it's a major trigger. This one is super individual, but it's really crucial to know that milk, cheese, and butter can be a problem. And for our final ingredient, we're actually circling right back to something we touched on earlier, and it definitely deserves its own spot on the list: the capsules that our medications come in. This is so important. That slick, smooth coating on your pills or vitamins, a lot of the time, it's made from gelatin, that very first ingredient we talked about. It is such a classic hidden source. The most important thing here is to always talk to your doctor and your pharmacist to find safe options that don't use gelatin. So with all that in mind, what's the game plan? Well, here is the simple checklist that I use to help keep myself safe. Honestly, it all comes down to these 3 steps. Number 1, you have to be relentless about checking labels every single time. 2, if a label is vague, like that natural flavors nonsense, don't just guess. Contact the company and ask. And 3, remember that companies change their formulas all the time. The snack that was safe last month might not be safe this month. You just have to stay vigilant. Look, I know this can feel like a lot. It can be really overwhelming when you're just starting out. But knowledge truly is power. Once you have your own personal watch list, it all just becomes second nature. You learn how to move through the world safely and with confidence. You got this.